Is AI image generation stealing? Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much once again joining me for tea time. Today we have a little bit of misty morning, and that is it. Nice and clean. So good. I hope you're joining me with your cup of tea, maybe a cup of coffee, hanging out, talking tech, talking photo, talking video. Today is kind of like a tech photo day. We're going to be talking about AI. There's a lot of these AI engines that create works of art based on other works of art that it brought into its data set, let's call it. And they're being sued, like Midjourney and Stability AI and even DeviantArt. So there's a lot of these companies that are now going to be going through major lawsuits. And I think that is important that these lawsuits happen. And the reason being is there's no precedence, right? We don't know what is legal and what is not. And I want to get into this topic a little bit with you guys today. And I'll give you my thoughts, but more importantly, I want to get your thoughts down in the comment area below this video. Let's have this discussion. Now, I am an artist. I'm formally trained in art. I went to the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale, graduated there, also graduated out of FAU. I have many degrees at all different types of things, but art is one of them. I went for commercial art, advertising design, as well as photo and video. So video production was a big thing too, but I am trained classically. So I'm coming to you from a perspective of being an artist, being a photographer, being a videographer, but also being a technician, let's say. I was a system administrator. I used to code in assembly language way back in the day. So I'm like a tech, but an art tech, okay? So that's where my mindset is. Just keep that in mind. So I love this type of technology, but I can see the problems with it also. So right now, there's a couple of lawsuits that are happening. Number one, you have a lawsuit that Getty just filed against Stability AI. And Stability AI are the people that created that stable diffusion deal where you can go in there and you can create images, and it takes, once again, data sets and puts it together. So you're giving it text, right? You're giving it prompts. You say, I want a cat sitting on a beach with a rat eating a piece of cheese. And it will literally come up with this for you, which is really interesting. It's fascinating. And I love it. I think it's really cool. But the problem is where is it getting all of these data sets? Where is it getting all these images? And people have it a little bit twisted. They don't know how this is happening. And what keeps coming up is the word collage. And I want to speak on that in just a minute. But anyways, before we get too deep into this, I want to say that if you haven't downloaded any of my ebooks as of yet, go check them out. Go over to JCristina.com/books. Also, if you like this video, even in the least, please consider giving it a thumbs up. That would be awesome. Also, subscribe to the channel if you have not. And if you have, click this little button over here so when I go live or when a new video comes out, you will be notified of it immediately. And make sure you click all notifications so you'll actually get it. Some people aren't getting it. I don't know why. Finally, if you need to secure your home or your business data through a VPN, a really nice company called PureVPN gave us a link. This link is going to provide you with 80% off. So it doesn't matter if you need 256-bit encryption while you're out there on the web, or if you need a static IP address, or maybe even do some port forwarding. All that is possible for basically the cost of a latte per month. Really affordable. Anyways, guys, down below in the pinned comment as well as the description, you will find that link. Go check it out. So let's jump into this. We have two lawsuits. Number one, the Getty lawsuit, which is Getty versus the Stable AI. And then we have another class action lawsuit, whereas they're suing Stable AI, they're suing DeviantArt, and I believe it's Midjourney. Who knows? Maybe there'll be more to be announced that will be added into this lawsuit. I don't know. This is a massive class action lawsuit, which is, once again, quite interesting because we need this lawsuit because there is no precedence. We don't know what's going to go on here at all. And the courts are going to have a little bit of a time figuring it out. Now, if we look at the Getty image lawsuit here, what they state is that they tested so far 12 million images out of 2.3 billion. 12 million out of 2.3 billion, and they found that 15,000 of those images are in their database. Now, Getty Images states this. Getty Images believes artificial intelligence has the potential to stimulate creative endeavors. They continue with, accordingly, Getty Images provides licenses to leading technology innovators for purposes related to training artificial intelligence systems in a manner that respects personal and intellectual property rights. They continue. Stability AI did not seek any such license from Getty Images and instead, we believe, chose to ignore viable licensing options and long-standing legal protections in pursuit of their standalone commercial interests. So that's what they believe. Now, when we talk about the class action lawsuit that was just levied against all three parties, once again, that's Midjourney, DeviantArt, as well as Stability AI, one of the plaintiffs went to Twitter to make a statement. And this is what she said. As I learned more about how deeply exploitative AI media model practices, I realized there was no legal precedent to set this right. Let's change that. She continues with, I am proud to be one of the plaintiffs named in this class action lawsuit. I am proud to do this with fellow peers that will give a voice to potentially thousands of affected artists. I am proud now we fight for our rights, not just in the public sphere, but in the courts. So this is going to be that, once again, beginning of this massive class action lawsuit against these AI companies. So, like I said before, I do believe this is an important thing, an important process that's going to be going on. Now, who's right, who's wrong? We really don't know as of yet. We'll see how this all plays out. I am definitely going to keep tabs on it. Now, there's a guy named Matthew Butterick. Now, he is a writer, a designer, programmer, and lawyer. And he created a site called Stable Diffusion Frivolous. Obviously, you can see where he's coming from this. And if you go over to that website, I encourage you to do so. On one side, you can see the filing, and then on the other side, he gives his opinion on what is being said in this filing. And I think it's very fascinating. I just want to get into just a couple of points. This is very long and detailed, so I want you to go over there and take a look at it for yourself. But a few points I found very, very interesting, and it gives a little bit more of clarity, I think, to what is going on here. Now, on one side, once again, the plaintiff states, we filed a lawsuit challenging Stable Diffusion, a 21st century collage tool that violates the rights of artists because AI needs to be fair and ethical for everyone. Now, what he comes back with here is the point of collage, and I agree with him here. He says AI tools do not in any way, shape, or form collage together images. No images are stored in the checkpoints in any way, shape, or form. Rather, AI art tools work akin to seeing shapes in clouds, starting with random latent noise and trying to make it, quote, make more sense, pushing and nudging it one step at a time based on the relationships it has learned about what is statistically normal in images. So it's taking this abstraction and now trying to clarify it. This is what it's doing. It is not collaging works together. Keep that in mind. We have to remember that these entities, these AI generation engines, do not store images. They are storing mathematical representations of images. Keep that in mind, all right? It is important. I know the devil is in the details, so we have to keep that in mind. But my question is, how much would this be akin to a MP3 file or an MP4 file or a JPEG, which are not lossless, they are lossy. So they aren't going to be direct representations of whatever they're capturing. Remember this, okay? This is very important because these final AI produced images aren't lossless. They are lossy, and they're coming from a data set of mathematical figures. How much of the final image needs to be recognizable for it to be true IP infringement or intellectual property infringement? And I think that's where the court is going to have to figure that out. What is that percentage? Just like with music, you can use a specific percentage of a song and not get dinged. But if you use any more of that number of seconds that you can use, you're dinged, right? There's certain things that are allowed and certain things that are not. And all of these cases are going to set precedents to what that number is. Now, the plaintiff also states this: Stable Diffusion contains unauthorized copies of millions and possibly billions of copyrighted images. The copies were made without the knowledge or consent of the artist. Now, the way he breaks this down, I think, is a really good rebuttal to this statement. He says this: AI art tools, including Stable Diffusion, contain no copies of images. Neural network weights and biases capture, to put it simply, the statistical relationships between elements. For images, things like shape, color, position, etc., and in effect function as a reverse of the image recognition, making something that is not recognizable become more recognizable. He continues with, when faced with a latent comprise of random noise associated with text of cat, for example, the diffusion model does not collage in images, which it doesn't have, but rather has learned data distributions. For the word cat, there might be an association along the lines of ear-like shapes, how far apart, eye-like shapes, position here by comparison, a nose-like shape proportionally here. So for these parts of the noise that are already a little cat-like, we'll push them closer to the ideal cat-like shape. Or to be less abstract, calculating and diffusing along a gradient. This process continues again and again at all scales from small to large until the maximum step count has been reached. So it constantly tries taking something unrecognizable and making it recognizable using its data set that it has accumulated over analyzing billions of photos. Now, I don't want to dive too deeply into this, but I just want to give you my personal opinion on it. If you want to read more, once again, I'll put that link in the description. Go check this out. The way I look at this is how much of the original work is recognizable. I think that that is very, very important. If it's very recognizable, then it's kind of pushing the boundaries a little bit. If it's completely unrecognizable, I don't think that it's an issue at all. But once again, this is going to form a major precedent going forward when it comes to AI anything. We're talking about AI image creation right now, but it could be something like AI creation of code. How much of an original code written by someone is now being used in the AI generated code, right? Like ChatGPT does. That gets into a whole nother hill of beans. And I'm sure there's going to be lawsuits having to do with that too. So I personally look at it this way. I love these things. Okay. Even though I'm an artist, I create my own art. I like the idea of being able to free your mind and say, you know, I want this, that combined together on a beach. Okay. And it just simply does it. Things that you can only dream this thing can put together. Does it do it well? It does it okay. But it's more about, to me, the inspiration of the image that it creates. So if I have an idea and I want the skeletal bones of the idea, and not necessarily completely fleshed out, I can use this to build a structure and then later on use that as just a guide for my final work, right? My work, my IP, my intellectual property. I'm using it as just something to draw inspiration from, but not using it for final production. That's the way I think that these tools should be used, but that's just me. All right. I think that it's very cool. I think it's fascinating. I love the tech behind it. I think it's amazing what they can do. And just imagine in 10 years, the power of these computers, how well it's going to be able to do it. So what some of the artists will say is, well, what is going to be my place in society when my art is really not valued anymore? And a computer could create my art or something close thereof in a moment. And it doesn't take a week or a month for me to create it. It could just be done. unless it's a three-dimensional piece of art, sculpture, stuff like that, I think it's going to be an issue. I mean, when it's just a painting or a drawing or even a photograph, these things are getting so good that it's hard to tell the difference. There's all of this deep fake type of stuff that's going on where you just really don't know what's real and what's Memorex, so to speak, if you remember that term, if you're old enough. So anyways, I want to know your thoughts about this. What do you think? Once again, there's a lot of lawsuits that are going on. I think that the lawsuits are great. I think, once again, it's going to build a precedent where we're going to go forward when more lawsuits happen, which they inevitably will. Why? Because IP attorneys, I know, don't ask me why. IP attorneys are very expensive, anywhere from about $400 to $600 per hour. So there's going to be a lot of attorneys getting filthy rich from these lawsuits that will be happening with these AI engines, AI tools. So once again, what do you think? Down in the comment area below this video, let's have this discussion. Also, if you like this video, even in the least, as I said before, give it a thumbs up. That'd be awesome. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so, and then click that button. So when I go live, when a new video comes out, you'll be notified of it immediately. And finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools I've invented for you and me over the years, and hopefully there's something there they might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. That's it. I'm out of here for another vlog. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next one. Love you all.